you would want. And once you see the AA, you know that the Abaddon isn't coming out to counterpick you, even though we saw yesterday he played it into the Abaddon both times and really the matchup didn't matter too much. But are you able to just third pick a Viper and then run it 5 reliably? It's almost like Infamous with their gyrocopter, where the cuts say, we found this hero that we like, we're going to pick it pretty much no matter what. Interestingly enough, we're not seeing Enchantress valued nearly as much in this series. I understand that the A is on the opposing team, but still feels like there are some heroes that are sort of missing out of the meta that we've seen teams pretty much value all the way up till this point. But I think the cut able to secure Scourge's hero by the end of this phase is incredibly important, because now you just get to ban out pretty much all of the A candidates left in the pool, leaving Yuma on something that might not be able to get online nearly as fast as some other heroes. We'll have to see what he ends up going for, but Sven doesn't really have bad matchups. If they ban out the Naga Siren next, Naga is really the only hero that we've seen at this tournament play up versus the Sven, where maybe once that BKB is gone, you have that Song of the Siren to kite him out, set up for your teammates. Maybe we could see some Song into Spear if that Naga Siren does get let through. But at the same time, if Sven is able to get enough speed underneath him, if you're able to play an item ahead of that Naga Siren, which we haven't honestly been able to see at this tournament just yet, you do feel the weight of that matchup. You're not really able to outpace the damage that God Strength gives him, and then it becomes a cooldown hero where he doesn't have God Strength. Maybe we can make a play. We have to be a little bit careful. So I like them getting Sven on at the same time one of his core farming heroes, but also someone who can start to show up to these fights a little bit sooner than maybe some of his other heroes.
Right, the timing going to be a little bit important for them. If the Sven can sort of get online around the time that maybe your Tiny is sort of starting to build up strength as well in terms of the blink and the damage, then Cut have the opportunity to sort of force some fights in a situation where D2 Hustlers may not have their full strength ready to respond. So we saw Infamous try and play the exact same way in their previous series, and with maybe a slight hiccup in game 2, it worked pretty well for them. So in theory, the plan can work. It's just going to come down to the execution, and it's going to come down to these final picks as well. The Cut will use their final ban in there on the Terror Blade. So not quite the Naga Siren, but sort of a similar style, similar thought process, taking away one of those sort of hyper carry options.
Yeah, and it just feels like if you are going to have to rely on this God Strength, then you pop God Strength, you pop Meta. It's the perfect call. Once you get that Scotty on the TB, then Sven has to be so careful of initiating, because you just have 5 TB illusions hitting you. So honestly, really good pick, as well as just the Sunder. If you ever do end up 1v1 man fighting, usually you're able to get that Sunder off if you're able to time that BKB. Don't even need to dodge it out. Could probably even buy it SNY. Yuma just loves SNY on pretty much every single hero. We've seen it get it multiple times on pretty much whoever. And they ban out Abaddon. Interesting. It makes sense versus the Puck versus the Mars. But it feels like now, what is Devi going to play? He could very well be on the Viper, so that's probably why they're looking for that Abaddon ban, just because they don't want to have that instant save. They wanted to do that, then maybe they could pick up Shadow Demon, but I don't think that's the direction the Cut were taking this at all.
It doesn't really feel like it, but oh, Cut go in for the Snapfire pick there with that 5th selection, and now still, I don't know, a little bit confused. That could be the Snap at the 5, the Viper just to the off lane. That seems, I guess, doable for the Cut right now, but you look at this lineup, maybe if the Tiny is sort of that mid laner, it's a little bit different, but it feels like outside of the Sven, they're maybe not the most durable heroes in the world, and over on that D2 Hustler side, you've got the Ancient Apparition to try and take advantage of that, and you have the Mars to sort of stand in on that front line and be that sort of big, beefy, playmaking kind of hero. So it seems like there's maybe a slight mismatch on that front. I don't know if it's going to be a massive concern, but it does look a little bit funky right now as D2 Hustlers go in for the Juggernaut for Yuma.
Yeah, and they'll swap everything around, so now Tingle King's going to be on that Viper, and something that we saw all the way back on day 1 is whenever this Viper was picked up, in the first phase especially, you saw the Jug and the Lifestealer banned out pretty much on cue, just because you wanted that flexibility, you wanted him to get a lane where something would happen. And personally, as a Viper player, I know that Viper versus Jug isn't the worst. If you could ever force him to use a spin just to purge off your stacks, it's going to feel pretty good. But at the same time, if you ever step out of line on that Viper, you're going to be immediately punished. And same with the Nyx Assassin. You do not do much versus Jug. If he gets on top of you, your Carapace doesn't do jack. You're going to have to wait out that timing, and then maybe you're able to get that follow-up stun. But if you ever whiff, if you ever sort of misplay for just a moment, Yuma's going to be there with the punishment, as well as just having the healing ward. If they really don't get him in that burst damage, and of course burst damage, saying that with Viper sounds a little bit weird, but they don't kill him during the impale, I don't think you're getting Yuma at all. So maybe they try to play a little bit up on Pandago instead, but it feels like with this last pick, Snapfire, it is a little bit weird. The biggest benefit is now you do have sort of that secondary damage where maybe you're able to kill a hero in that Avatos or in that Stormhammer, and you do have the jump out of that arena if they're able to sort of time it out right. So really the cut execution-wise, they've got to get a lot of things going for them. Otherwise, I think this time around, D2 Hustlers definitely have the better lineup.
Yeah, and sort of maybe going back to what I was saying before, some concerns about sort of the durability for the Cuts heroes compared to that of D2 Hustlers. That was just when they sort of had the Mars and they hadn't taken that carry yet. But as you said, for Yuma, I mean, he's got the Blade Fury sort of built in for the magic immunity. He's going to have the healing ward there. So it is a concern. If you, as you said, if you don't get in and sort of blow these heroes up right away, then it just feels like D2 Hustlers are going to outlast their opponents in these fights, and that's where things are going to go pretty horribly for that Cut roster. So we'll see. As you said, execution will be paramount for them. They have to be able to get in there. They need to be able to find those sort of stun combos and really take out at least one or two of those major heroes right at the start of the fight. They can do that. Maybe they can just sort of swing the momentum and just sort of barrel their way through that lineup, but it's all going to come down to really how well they start these engagements, and honestly whether or not they're the team actually being the ones on the offensive. If they're initiated on, if Devi is the one sort of blinking in for the arena stun play, then you're just not going to have a lot of fun.
And really, up until this point, the only tiny mid that's really sort of impressed me has been Bryles coming in from Undying. So Red 2, he's got some big shoes to fill. If he's able to get his blink timing really before the puck, Papa Tootie is going to be able to get that Witchblade. You're not going to have the armor. You're going to be a little bit weaker. You should just die. Well, Yuma's going to spin for the wave and do a lot of harass on the Pingu, actually. Ooh, make some skill fire snap as well. That kind of hurts, but yeah. Should be able to get range creeps with that Stormhammer, so Scourge isn't going to be too sad, but definitely not going to feel really the presence of that Snapfire up until maybe that level 2 or level 3 because of that skill up.
Just has to do it to keep himself alive. Now look at this Frugos trying to get a little aggressive, throwing out the Bramble. Pingu's going to be in really even more trouble, and I don't think that Frugos can actually get the kill here, but
just a lot of harass.
He's burned through 2 of those tangos already. He came to lane with 6, and by the time he's up here, I mean, he's going to have to burn through half of those. So, fantastic play in from D2 Hustlers, just getting that little bit of early damage in. And now Pingu, I mean, he still needs to take the time to actually heal. So, he's going to have to sort of play back a little bit between that and the unfortunate sort of forced decision on the sort of skill usage. Then his impact in this lane, at least for maybe the first or next 30 seconds to a minute, is just going to be almost non-existent. They really don't have to worry about Pingu doing too much right now, unless they go for maybe some sort of double stun play. It's going to be the first stun. Pingu, though, holding the cookie, and Frugos is not going to care.
Yeah, and Frugos doesn't really need to care for the majority of this lane. If he ever does decide to get that Shadow Realm, maybe a little bit later on, we always see that Cursed Crown come out at level 2 just because you have the guaranteed disable. It really feels like there's no way that this Dark Will ever dies, especially with Boots first, and he's not even really getting traded out. And even though Pingu, he did get a courier coming, bringing out that salve, unless he really steps out of line on the Dark Will, there shouldn't be a situation where he goes down. And if he messes with the pulls, Divine Llama's just going to get pretty much all of this all of the CS. Whoa. Whoa, that cookie was weird.
Okay, Scourge just sort of facing the wrong direction there at the last second. A little bit of funkiness with the unpathable terrain there as well, so he gets put in the tree line, and I don't know. I'm not sure that would have been a kill for them anyway, but they could have at least given it a go, burned through a little bit more of Divine Llama's regen, but just maybe a slight miscommunication there. Scourge is facing the wrong way. Pingu hits him up with a cookie, and they do sort of miss out on that chance. And now, Devi, I mean, he's just going to farm up under his tower right now. So this Equilibrium is really not in a fantastic spot for the cut. Pingu, though, isn't really immediately going after those pulls, so they're just going to try and sort of hold while they can, but Frugos. Okay, Bramble Maze, excuse me, is a bit off the mark there, so not going to be able to do too much, but Pingu does have to be careful. If he gets too far forward, Devi is level 2 now, so he's got both the Rebuke and the Spear, so in the right circumstances, they could go for that kill, and then it would basically be down to whether Scourge could get a stun off to save his teammate.
Yeah, and it just means that free farm Sven, basically. They can't really get aggressive on him. He's a little bit too tanky. Dark Will isn't known for having that burst damage, and actually, yeah, bottom. They caught him in the pole. He tried to do something to contest that large camp, and then Giant's just in the right position to get the punishment. So, super free play bottom.
First Blood coming to them with, I'm not going to say no effort, but certainly not a lot of resistance. Yuma's way too far away to help, and well, Pandego at level 2 doesn't exactly have the most capable defensive abilities. So, that is a nice and easy kill for the cut, and down in this bottom lane, I don't really know. Yuma just seems to be farming up well. Seems like a bit of a parallel to the Sven situation up top. He's got an early point up in the ward as well, so even if the poison attacks sort of come out onto him, Tingle, as of right now, really doesn't have the mana to sustain it, sort of while the healing ward does its work. So Yuma is going to take the damage, but he's able to just sort of shrug most of it off.
And looks like a little bit of a whoops. We've got a double earn, I think. We've got one on both the Nyx Assassin and the Viper, but yeah, with the boots, you can't really get ever very aggressive up until you have boots of your own. There's just no play to be made on the Viper. He's just a little bit too annoying, even though he doesn't have the corrosive skin just yet. But now that he does, he's just going to be a little bit too far out of that damage range. And then Pandego needs to be careful because that corrosive skin actually will come into effect. He just gets slowed down quite a bit by it, and that's when maybe you do find Giant finding those plays to get the punish. But yeah, top. Violama just stepped up too far forward, and Frugos not able to save his teammate.
2 points up in that Shadow Realm, so he wanted the extra damage, but that means there's no Curse Crown there for when Scourge and Pingu sort of push their way forward. So Devi ends up getting taken down. Second kill on the board for the cut, and now, I mean, Scourge's lane is looking even better. You already mentioned it was going to just sort of be a free farm situation for him. Now he's got a kill on top of it to further sort of accelerate this early
Giant
farm. As Giant... Oh boy. Can he get out? Not even a little bit, as well, I was going to say, but Yuma, well, he runs out of time. He was going after the kill anyway, but he's going to get hit up by the Carapace. But now, what is this? That... Tingle just gets sort of played on there a little bit. Yuma and Pandego able to give him their old rope-a-dope, and...
Oh, Giant.
Okay, Giant.
Okay.
Even better play. In for the Impale
Saving
on
the
the
game.
2. Yeah, that is going to really sort of even that one out. Pandego... I should walk away. Maybe if Giant has a point up in the mana burn or something, but not really going to go for it. And honestly, he doesn't really need to. No point in risking anything further for the Pandego kill. You got Yuma. That was the most important part there. Avenge Tingle, get the kill on the carry, and just sort of reset that lane a little bit.
Yeah, and I know if I'm that Viper, I get that kill onto the Jug, but that's just me. But really, killing the Viper, sending him back to the base, he is going to get full mana, so now Yuma is going to get harassed a little bit harder than he otherwise would. Really, level 4 Jug feels pretty bad. It's to the point where spin still costs a little bit too much mana for you to ever want to purge off those stacks, so you're just going to commit the Healing Ward instead, and Yuma's been ditched a little bit. I think Pandego, yeah, he had to walk all the way back to base, and now he's going to get out back on the map, but okay, he spin dodged the Impale again, and that's something Giant does need to be a little bit more careful of, but this is still just more free XP, more levels for the Viper.
Meanwhile, Papa Tootie has rotated himself top. He's got the Dream Coil, but the rune he picked up was an illusion, so that's not exactly going to help him get into that fight, and they didn't have the heroes on the side of the cut really grouped up enough where they felt like that Dream Coil initiation was going to get them what they wanted. So you will see the puck return back to the middle lane, where Red 2's really just been sitting back and farming at this point. No rotations out of him. He's got nearly 40 last hits on the board here, so it's been a pretty solid start for him. He's not exactly shutting Papa Tootie down, but as long as the Tiny's getting his, I think you're going to be okay with that scenario. But he is looking for some damage now, but there's where the raindrops come in. Just delivered out to Papa Tootie a moment or two ago, and now there's even less ability for the Tiny to get the early kill here.
And top, Pingu?
Pingu jumped in on Devi. Able to get the spear down. Frugos is in for the follow-up damage, and they will be able to find it. They even get the Curse Crown onto Scourge, so he's really not going to be able to do much to keep that fight going, as D2 Hustlers are able to pick that one up. Devi in with the spear, and this is sort of the combo we were talking about. That spear play from Devi with Frugos there to either set it up initially with the Bramble or to follow it up after the spear connects. It's something really that your Snapfire is not going to be able to protect you against, and the Sven is really not going to be able to do too much about either unless that stun is onto about 2 heroes at the same time, and that time it certainly wasn't. So, nice play from D2 Hustlers. Meanwhile, Papa Tootie, he's still on the move. He's made his way bottom here, but this isn't really a move for a kill. He's just kind of farming in the jungle right now.
Yeah, and this is something that Papa Tootie does need to be careful of. If you do over-rotate, you're not that Quaswex Invoker, you haven't really slowed down Red 2 at all. If anything, this is just more space for him to finish his Blink Dagger, and that's where Papa Tootie might be feeling the pressure a little bit to sort of make these plays happen across the map, especially versus a hero like Viper that doesn't really have the ability to sort of rotate out, but well played from Pendago. They sort of spot that the defensive play coming out from the cut is a little bit too defensive, so they make the call that the ward is up there. They get the D ward, and Papa Tootie's still not showing, but I think they should be able to make the call. Tingle wants these last hits, but again, Papa Tootie is not doing anything. Even though the Viper's not farming, Papa Tootie is just sort of forced to stick down here and do whatever he can. Meanwhile, Red 2, again, he's just farming up the midway, farming up the enemy team small camp, and he's trying to get aggressive on Devi.
They're gonna go.
Oh, they missed the cookie.
Unfortunate. Devi, nice play there with the rebuke. Red 2's coming
Still might dive
though.
in? This is a little too crazy.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, he's strong, but he's not quite that strong. Even with the DD rune, that would have been a little bit off. But over on the other side of the map, the second they see that play come in, Papa Tootie makes his move. They jump in.
Oh
with the
no,
Dream
Tingle.
Coil, getting down Giant. The Omni actually out onto Tingle as well, and yeah, the Viper's dead. Red 2, meanwhile, he was TPing. He actually cancels it once he sees really sort of how that fight got underway. So that goes amazingly well for Hustlers. They don't lose Devi. They find 2 kills in that east side jungle. Papa Tootie, to be honest, probably still spent a little bit too much time there, but he is eventually able to sort of get that play that he wanted, and D2 Hustlers pull away a bit. 1k up as really everything works in their favor.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Tingle King sort of took the bait. He took the bite there, and eating an Omni Slash right after you see your Nyx Assassin get soul coiled, I'm surprised he even came over to that hill. It was kind of uncharacteristic. And top,
okay, this time they get that stun combo down, but Devi able to go for the spear into the TP, and that was Scourge popping God Strength, so it's going to help him farm, but he was actually kind of hoping for the kill there, but it's going to be a little bit more efficient farming-wise, and he is getting close to that sort of Mask of Madness play, so it's not going to hurt him too badly, but it's just a bit unfortunate. They were hoping for the pickoff instead. Scourge just has to sort of fall back to the jungle.
Yeah, and really, it doesn't feel that bad, but Pingu hasn't been able to stack for him, so he doesn't have all these stacks that on his other heroes, really you would have thought that there would be there sort of automatically if he was on his TA or if he was on his Luna or his Bristle. And they have done a good job of stacking up these Ancients. It's a 3-stack, I think, at this point. And unfortunately, Giant not being on that on that ranged 4, you don't get that double stack that pretty much you always see when he is on maybe his Hoodwinked, but it's still going to allow Scourge to farm up pretty fast, pretty efficiently, having the Mask of Madness. But now mid, they're breaking the coil.
Ice Blast isn't quite on par, or on the mark rather, but it's not going to matter. Red 2.
They double missed! They both uphill missed. Oh. Okay.
What kind of crazy RNG is that? Red 2, just go buy a lotto ticket, man. Like,
the Shadow Realm and the Chilling Touch both uphill missed. That is crazy. Count your stars. Oh my goodness. That just failed. I can't believe that didn't work.
That's not supposed to happen. Yeah, I mean, Red 2 is supposed to be dead there, but every once in a while RNG has your back. He's able to sort of get himself away from that one. D2 Hustlers missing out on a massive opportunity. The execution really looked like it was there. The coil connects. They get him with the Terrorize. It's just that Ice Blast is a little off the mark. If that hits, I think that's a clean kill for them, but instead, Red 2 falls back, and now the counterplay's coming in. They want revenge. The Cut are going to push their way forward. They're in onto Yuma with the... Yeah, in onto Yuma with the Viper Strike. They take down Devi, and there goes Yuma. Yep. TP. No TP. He doesn't have one. He doesn't have a TP. That's a bit of a problem. The Impale. Giant. What a play. In there for the stun. Yuma taken down. Mortimer Kiss is now flying in. Frugos he is going to be able to get himself away, but really, they got the kills that matter. They pick off both Devi and Yuma, and now they're directly in onto the tower. They've got the armor reduction. They've got the God Strength for a few more seconds. Got to be maybe a little bit careful of that Ice Blast.
Papa Tootie.
Yeah, now Papa Tootie wants in. Dream Coil is at the ready. Can he connect onto about 3 or 4? Yes, he can. Dream Coil dropped. Curse Crown out onto 2 as well, but they need more damage, and right now I'm not sure they have it. Frugos is going to be taken down. Papa Tootie's at least able to take out 1, and now there's going to be the arena play into the spear. They're taking down Pingu. They're in onto the Viper as well, trapping him up with that spear stun as Tingle will fall, and Papa Tootie... Okay, not going to get that greedy with it. He did throw the orb out, but doesn't jump away to it. So...
Yep, they got a little bit too greedy there. And even though they didn't have the jug, just having Divine Llama immediately TP and then get a 3-man Mars Arena, 3-man coil, spell usage was just there from D2 Hustlers. Perfect punish.
I mean, I always love those plays more than really I think anything else. When one team goes in, they look so good there, and then you just sort of get caught up in your own confidence, hubris, whatever you want to call it. They go too far. They don't respect the fact that D2 Hustlers are bringing heroes back in. Once a hero dies, they don't stay dead. As Hustlers regrouped, won the fight, and at the end of the day, they're still ahead here. Net worth lead may have taken maybe a bit of a dip from where it was at before, but they're back on top off the back of a play that really should have broken their momentum. Instead, it's a minor setback and then a team fight win.
And you do kill off that Sven. You stop him from farming. Of course, you were able to get Yuma right before that. And that's where the Sven does feel pretty good versus the Juggernaut. You have that Warcry that's going to make that Omni Slash feel a little bit worse. And Yuma not going for the Battle Fury. He's getting that Maelstrom. He's trying to play the magic damage build. And, okay, smoke up. If they find Scourge again... He's half HP, so...
So close to him, too. I think they're going to get this.
Oh, they're going to break on him. He sees the puck.
Okay. He's got the vision. Cookie's going to get him away. Devi's just ignoring Giant. That might have been a bit of a mistake, as he is going to get hit up. But they do still get in onto the Sven. They'll hit him with the Dream Coil, but they need more. There's going to be the Terrorize. The Ice Blast doesn't get the impact damage, but it does fly overhead. That's going to be enough. Scourge goes down. Pandago taken out as well. Frugos, though, he's got to get the hell out of here, and he's not going to be able to do so. The Spike Carapace will stun him up. Pingu gets the kill with the Mortimer Kisses, and D2 Hustlers just have to fall back. Papa Tootie, though. Ooh. Flipped by the Avalanche, able to still jump away to that orb. He's going to look for the TP out, and Red 2 is...
Oh, he's got... Oh, just barely off the mark.
Oh, boy. That was pretty damn close as Yuma. Okay. Nice objective play there in the middle lane. Wasn't going to be able to help his teammates out with the fight, so he takes the tier 1, gets the spin TP back into the jungle before anyone can respond. So that is going to make up for a little bit of the losses there in that fight, but that's still a rough one for D2 Hustlers. It seemed like they were so tunnel visioned in onto the Sven. They walked past additional targets, and eventually it just sort of doesn't pay off for them as Devi. Jesus, he is taking a lot of damage. He's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Pandago can't help. Papa Tootie's not there in time. Tingle knew, I have the damage. I'm going for the kill.
Ooh,
now,
Giant's dead.
Yeah, Giant's going to be taken down, but there's Red 2 blinking in, going for the Avatos combo. Pandago dropped low. Not dead yet, though, but instead, they're going to focus their attention onto Papa Tootie, and they get the far more valuable target, taking him down, and now, Frugos, I admire your ambition. I'm just not sure that this was the right call. Trying to go in onto Red 2, doesn't have the damage for it, doesn't have any spells left to deploy here either, and he's dead too.
Yeah, that feels really weird and really disconnected. You ran out that Viper without having the arena already up. You don't have TP now, so now this bottom tower is going to be forfeit. And while, again, you were able to kill Giant, you popped literally everything. You didn't have Coil, you weren't going to use it. Maybe we'll see Papa Tootie try to get aggressive, maybe get another smoke. He has that Witchblade now. But, again, you use everything. Tingle King's Viper, he has an Atos now, and it kills kind of everyone. And this is also a space that Red 2's been able to finish up his Blink Dagger, so now we're going to see him get more active on the map. And if Papa Tootie dies maybe once or twice, it feels like all of the aggression on T2 Hustlers is going to sort of die down up until Devi is able to finish a Blink up of his own. But this is all time that your Cleave max leveled out Sven is just sort of farming up. And once he gets this BKB, there's literally no hero on the D2 Hustlers side that he's going to need to worry about. Because again, Yuma, with this Maelstrom, he's just farming. He's just biding his time. He's just trying to do whatever he can. And, oh, he's getting involved bottom. This is a big arena.
Lugos was jumped in on. Devi, though, was able to blink, or not blink, but rather just initiate in with the arena. Gets down the spear stun. So they take down Pingu. Papa Tootie, though, okay, he's in onto the back line. They need Red 2, and they do manage to get him. Pandago will find that kill, and now Scourge, I don't think you want to be here anymore. He is going to pop that Warcry, looking to get himself and his teammate out, but a good response by D2 Hustlers. That starts with their own Dark Willow sort of getting jumped in on, but Yuma's in there for the fight. The Mars is able to get a very nice arena to sort of break up that initial momentum for the cut, and they really just weren't prepared for that. They thought they were just going in onto maybe one or two. Instead, it's pretty much the entirety of that D2 Hustlers lineup, and they do take that fight in their favor.
And Yuma does need to show up there just so that way he can sort of show his force and make it so that Scourge doesn't want to initiate. And of course, Scourge, he pops his God Strength, he just farms up. It's not like there's too much time lost, but we're going to get to a point where that God Strength is going to matter more and more as this matchup gets closer. Because Yuma, he is only 500 gold behind this Sven. He has kept up with him, and once he gets this S and Y, he's going to feel more and more confident to show up to these fights. Really, from the cut, we need to see Giant a little bit closer to the Tiny, a little bit more in the face of Papa Tootie. We haven't felt that Carapace really sort of kill the puck at all. He's always been able to get that waning rift, sort of play around the fact that the Nyx is in the game, and if Papa Tootie continues to go unpunished, again, this is all just time for Yuma to sort of split the matchup.
Yeah, honestly, it's been impressive for Yuma to this point. He doesn't really have any steroid to help him out, no teammate immediately adding to that farming ability, but as you said, he's still keeping pace. He's only a couple hundred behind. That S and Y is going to get him quite a bit more in the way of durability and damage as well, actually, for that matter. So Yuma can, in most situations, go toe-to-toe. Maybe if the God Strength comes into play, then you're looking at a slightly different situation. But Yuma is not going to get sort of caught off guard, and this is a little bit of what we were sort of hoping that would go into the cut's favor in the draft. The fact that Scourge on the Sven would be able to sort of maybe come online and start participating in those fights a little bit earlier than a lot of the other traditional carry picks. But Yuma, he's adjusted. He knows almost exactly what the Sven would really try to do here, and he goes for something similar. So now these two carries, if they come to the fights, they're both going to be prepared for it. They're both going to be dishing out that extra damage.
Yeah, and that's why you see them splitting the map. They're forcing the cut to go into a lane that they're probably not set up in. Perfect sentry, scouting out Giant. As soon as they see the Nyx Assassin, they can make the call to farm. If Yuma is not getting hit by a Sven with God Strength and Mom active, there's no way he gets his TP interrupted. So that's why you see now the D2 Hustlers are making, again, a very, very smart call. They're going to look for Scourge because they know if the Nyx is showing up here like this, being a little bit coy with his positioning, there's got to be at least the Tiny and the Snapfire behind him. And, okay, Yuma is going to get scouted out by Giant, but it looks like they're rubbernecking a little bit. They're sort of trying to find heroes in mid, and I think they're going to whiff on Scourge unless he walks back into his triangle, which he actually is doing, but
they spotted
the
out
play's being made mid.
Yeah. Easier, simpler kill. Just take what you get. The smoke had already popped, so they just get that kill. They have to give up on Scourge, but it's a nice pickoff for them. They're going to be able to maybe throw a Sentry or an Obs Ward into that east side jungle to try and take a little bit more control of the map, and they are still grouping up together. I don't know if they have another smoke, but they do have a jump in onto Giant, hitting him up with the Dream Coil into the Terrorize, and Giant, oh boy, and he's not getting himself out of that one. He tried with the Spike Carapace, but was not enough. Devi gets the kill, and D2 Hustlers are looking for
they
more
got Tingle.
Gonna get caught. There's gonna be the Spear stun into the Ice Blast. Curse Crown even down here as well, and this Viper's dead. No way he gets out of that one. He's gonna get hit up by the Cold Feet, and that DOT should be enough to finish him off, but Scourge wants in. He's gonna activate the God Strength. No BKB coming out from him just yet. Mortimer Kisses, meanwhile, being deployed as Devi is trying to dance his way around it. Yeah, good blink into the river. And can they find anyone? There we go. Red 2 pushing forward, but he's going to get silenced up, so there's no toss. The Omni Slash will be deployed now as well. Red 2's dead. Scourge, he's in trouble. Okay, there's going to be the BKB. He dodges out the stun, but at this point he's lost too much HP. I don't really think he can take this fight. He's just going to have to try and get away, but who can help him? Pingu can, throwing out that cookie, but D2 Hustlers, they want to keep going. If they can catch up to Scourge, this would be absolutely massive. They need one more hit and Devi's in.
Yeah, they got him.
Blinks forward, gets the rebuke. They take down Pingu as well, and that is the fight. The exact fight that D2 Hustlers needed. They take about 4 or 5 kills going their way, and now they're into the pit.
Yeah, they get completely kited out. They don't respect the healing ward. Yuma very simply just micros it back. Scourge never even makes an attempt to try and get it. He knows he's a little bit too slow. And I feel like they didn't need to make that play. They already knew that they were down their Viper, and you missed the initial go onto Papa Tootie just very simply by dodging out that stun with the Illusory Orb. So now, I'm not even sure if Yuma takes this. You might even want to just take it on the puck, but he feels kind of invincible at this point. The way he's been playing, he just hasn't been punished at all by this Nyx Assassin. And as sort of Giant struggles to make these plays, it makes you wonder more and more sort of why he's on this hero, because you first picked it for him. You thought that this is going to get something done across the map, and now the issue with this tiny mid hero is it's 22 minutes into the game. You've got 104 last hits. You've only been able to get 5 kills across the map, and you always need to go for this Echo Saber. So your BKB is non-existent in a game where BKB is so crucial. The tiny isn't able to farm up. He's not able to stick up with those cores as he's fallen behind even Divine Llama. And okay, Pendago got the Glimmer Cape off, but
buying some time. Papatuti's in there for the Dream Coil onto 2. Can Pendago turn around for the ult? No, he's not going to be able to get it off. But Yuma,
boy.
He's in there. He's spinning his way forward. There's going to be the arena drop down as well, trapping up 4. But Scourge is going to pop the God Strength. He's trying to hold off here as they are going to be able to actually get themselves a couple of kills. But the Ice Blast does still come through. The buyback was there, but doesn't actually connect. And now Tingle going to be able to TP away. Papatuti, though, at least takes down Giant. So they're going to be able to get the 2 supports, but really not a whole lot else versus the Cut, who got 3 kills, both the supports, a buyback from the Ancient Apparition, and Divine Llama taken down as well. So it looked like the initiation was pretty solid there, but the follow-up just didn't quite come out. They got about 3 or 4 heroes low, but weren't able to get it onto the cores.
yeah, and you see Giant's quick buy. He knows what he did wrong. You've got to have Dust. You're the initiator. You have a Blink Dagger now on the Nyx. You can't afford anyone to get saved by that Glimmer Cape. And you did buy back on the AA, which feels, you know, whatever. Your AA Blast also wasn't able to get any after-the-fact kills. But Yuma, Papatuti, you're still unaffected. You haven't been taken out. You haven't been getting picked off. And once you get this Scotty on Yuma, that's where the Sven's matchup feels like it's sort of coming to an end. And he's trying to get his Blink Dagger still. Once Scourge gets it, then he can make that initiation play onto the puck. He can chase him around after the Illusory Orb, try to make this puck play around the fringe of those fights. Because right now, Papatuti, it feels like he's getting away with murder. It feels like he's sitting in front of 3 or 4 heroes that aren't able to touch him, where they have these tools, but Papatuti is just playing around it a little bit too well and itemizing perfectly. He's going for that BKB. Once he has it, there is no hero to contest him. If he dies, it is his fault completely, because as he's been playing right now, there's nothing that the Cut have been able to sort of muster against him.
That's interesting. Just TP down towards the bottom lane, goes to the outpost, and then physically walks to the bottom lane as opposed to TPing directly onto the tier 2. Slightly sneaky, but I don't really think he's going to be able to catch anyone there. Tingle already TP'd out, and Giant should be making his way out of this fight as well, but it's interesting to see Papatuti trying to sort of get that edge. He's been playing so efficiently here so far, as we sort of alluded to before, just the 1 death for the puck. So the efficiency has been pretty solid for him, and now Yuma close to Giant, but he's actually going after the tower instead. Tier 1 here under attack. Yuma's going to drop down the healing ward, and that's going to be another objective.
Oh, they're breaking.
Buster's way is
placed the ward just too late.
Jump away. Red 2 now in some trouble. Curse Crown will stun him up. Devi, though, is actually going to get stunned up as well. He's just trapped in this tree line. He can't get himself away, but Yuma, that may have been a bit of a mistake. He's going to spin TP his way out as soon as he realizes he wasn't there to save Divine Llama in time. So they do manage to bring down the Mars. They force a spin TP out from the Jug. They break up really whatever it was that D2 Hustlers were hoping to do there, but actually, I don't know. That really goes well for them. They don't even lose the tier 1 tower in that instance. So I thought that was going to kind of be the trade-off for them, but they really don't trade much of anything. They hold everything they wanted and they get a kill.
And it really is just them Devi a little bit too far forward, and then having his BKB but not being able to get it off because he didn't expect them to find him in that little nook that he was hiding away in. But this is something that D2 Hustlers have done very well. They're forcing the Nyx Assassin to fight in their territory. They're always the aggressors, or at least they have always been the aggressors for these past 10 minutes, where if they do start to give up those picks, well, and they're breaking actually on Giant, but Papatuti doesn't have Dust, noob, but it's okay, as Giant is able to just walk away. But if they can force the Nyx Assassin to fight them in their own territory, he doesn't have BKB for one.
Oh no. In. Ice Blast coming through. This is some serious trouble for Scourge. He's dead. Not going to be able to get him out. Nobody was there to save him, and wow, I mean, that's the tiniest of windows. That Sven, as you said, was getting the BKB back up, but they jump in with 1 or 2 seconds to spare, and they're able to make that play happen. Yuma then goes for that tier 1 tower. He wasn't able to finish off before, and D2 Hustlers really right back on top here. 2K net worth lead, and I don't know if they can get the tier 2 here. Their own creep wave is not going to cooperate, so getting through that backdoor protection is really not going to be an option for them. And now they've lost the Aegis as well. Yuma does have that timeout on him, so they make the play that they want. I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything in terms of follow-up, but they can try to push out elsewhere. That mid tier 2 looks like a potential target for them. We'll see if Yuma actually goes for it, though, or if he just continues to farm up bot. Right now, it does kind of seem like it's going to be the latter. He wants to finish off that Scotty before the next fight.
And there's really no threat of him getting punished here. And Pendago, yeah, they're just finding the picks constantly. Nice little ward sentry combo here. They see the heroes leaving the base, and they need to get out. If the cut don't have space to work with, this Nyx Assassin doesn't feel good. The Nyx Assassin needs to force you to play in a certain way where if you constantly have this sentry advantage with which Pendago has sort of proven, even though he hasn't fall behind at all, he has a Glimmer Cape, he has a Shard, he's always been able to find out where Giant's been playing, and that's where the confidence comes from with Papa Tootie, where he knows exactly what Giant is doing at all times. He has a BKB of his own now, so he doesn't need to worry about getting Carapace stunned, and this is a problem that is quite hard to fix unless they give off sort of these uncharacteristic pickoffs from the Hustler's side. That's when the cut are able to really make that jump and change out what they want to do. Because if they're sitting sort of waiting for D2 Hustlers to come to him, that's where D2 Hustlers are able to get set up. They're able to get those sentries down. They know exactly when the initiation is coming. And really, besides that one pickoff from Dubai, the cut have not made an aggressive play in a very, very long time. And I hope they're looking for Papa Tootie.
They get him with perfect. The fail. There's going to be the follow-up stun into the avalanche toss. Well done there to get that kill. They needed that. And yeah, as you are sort of pointing out there, that Obs Ward gets them the perfect amount of vision they needed onto Papa Tootie, and that's going to bring an end to the push as well. At that point, Yuma realizing, yeah, I don't really want to be here anymore. So, forced to TP himself away. He did finish the Scotty off at least before he goes, but it is what the cut need to sort of create some extra space for themselves. Now they're looking for an objective of their own, pushing their way onto the tier 1 tower. Once the Glyph wears off, yeah, they've got it.
And now the real question is, what can you do with the space? Now your Nyx is able to play on the edge a little bit more. You force Pendago to spend his sentries on his side of the map, which is not what he wants to do. They also were able to get a pretty nice ward in the dire jungle, seeing any heroes walking up and down that ramp. And it looks like they're not going to be able to snowball anything off of this Papa Duty death aside from that tier 1 tower. Not that they should have defended that tier 1, it probably would have gone in the other direction. And once this Roshan is sort of threatening to respawn, no heroes can die around the pit. If anybody goes down, it's just going to be the immediate Roshan. And now the cut, they've got to finish some of these items here. Scourge is going for that Sanjin Yasha. They need a BKB on both Red 2 and Tingle King, and they're sort of getting close. And really, I can only imagine they're going to sort of dodge out these fights, because what the combo, or the killer combo that D2 Hustlers keep on doing is just that arena or the coil into the fear. It just keeps on going off. You get bounced into the wall, you get forced to break or snap that coil, and it feels terrible. Oh, and Giant.
Alright, get up by the coil. Force Staff is actually going to forcibly break that tether, and there's the Ice Blast to finish it off. Ooh.
That's... I think...
Oh, that's the headdress. Or, excuse me, headband.
Yeah, the psychic headband from Papa Tootie. I think he also just walked out of it, because I think he didn't snap it originally. He also didn't cast Carapace, but it's whatever. You're dying on the enemy side of the map. Those are deaths that you don't mind. The worst feeling on Nyx Assassin is when you're dying on your side of the map in sort of enemy or your own territory that the enemy's pushed into you. But now with Roshan respawning in 13 seconds, shouldn't really matter with Giant's death, but this is where everything's going to converge. And Yuma having a DD bottled, this fight is going to be hard for the cut to take.
You're going to need some, honestly, fantastic initiation. Feels like the Tiny's going to need to get in there, into the pit, and maybe hit that Avatos onto quite a few, but that's assuming that the cut figure out that this is happening. Yuma's in there, the DD's been popped, and as of right now, it doesn't appear that the cut really have confirmation of this. They do have their scan up, but they haven't actually deployed it, and Roche is already less than about a third of his HP, so this is just free. Really thought there was going to be much more of a fight around this, but Yuma's just able to get it done with a little bit of help from the AA, and that's basically it.
Yeah, gonna have the shard as well, so now after BKB, gonna need to be even more cautious on that Sven. Cheese passed over to Papa Tootie, and now the cut, they're waiting for, I think, their next item timings. Scourge most likely going to get either that AC or that crit. He needs a little bit more damage. He's unable to kill the cores as it stands right now for Hustlers. The defensive play is just a little bit too there. And Devi finishing off that halberd as well. He's going to need to be so cautious with his BKB usage. He always or already needed to be careful before, just because if he gets caught maybe 50% HP with that A blast on him before he's able to get that BKB off, he just takes way too much damage. And with the position that Yuma has put himself in now, he has so many items on this Juggernaut. He's eclipsed the Sven in net worth, and this is never a place you want to be. You always want to be ahead on the Sven.
Scourge.
Here we go.
Jumps in. They take Pandago down first, but there's going to be Devi in with the arena. It doesn't really get the trap that they want, though, and this fight is already maybe breaking apart. Papatootie. Okay, the coil's there, but where's the follow-up? Ice Blast is coming through. They will hit up onto the Tiny. They get him with the Terrorize as well, and that should get them the kill. Frugos, he does have to sacrifice himself, but he's going to be okay, or his team's going to be okay without him, as we see Yuma go in for the Omni, and Scourge gets taken away. Scourge taken down, and now he does have a buyback. He may very well need it. The Cut are not exactly going to be able to hold this without him.
Yeah, and that's going to put him behind even further. And Yuma with the Aegis, he knows he doesn't have BKB or God Strength though, so we might just see him respawn naturally. The push isn't that fantastic with the items that Yuma has gone for. He doesn't have that straight up damage item just yet. But at the same time, what are you going to do? Are you going to initiate on this Jug with Aegis? You can't really afford to waste your spells. And again, they throw everything onto Pandago, and he very, very simply just buys back. He's able to just immediately get back into the fight. It feels like he never was lost. He has that tier 2 right there. And the Cut, it feels like they extended themselves out a little bit too far. And now immediately able to push into that tier 2 or tier 3 top. If Scourge isn't going to pop it, they're not going to leave. This is at least going to be 2 melees.
Yeah. And this is really just the worst case scenario for the Sven. This is the exact situation you always try to avoid. You want to be strong without God's Strength and effectively unstoppable with it. Instead, you're in that horrible position where you're maybe strong with the God Strength, but just a step up maybe from useless without it. Like, without the God Strength in that fight, Scourge could not really do anything. Once it sort of wore off, once his BKB wore off as well, he's just not able to make those contributions. And the worst part about it is he uses the God Strength, but he used it to pick off an Ancient Apparition who, as you said, immediately bought back and then just TP'd right back in. So the God Strength is supposed to sort of build upon what you already have. It can't be your only
They caught
means.
a glimpse of him.
Got the butterfly. He's looking to go in. He doesn't have Omni, but Giant's
They
going
need
to
to
make the
follow
move.
up.
Hill comes out. Papatootie dropped low.
Oh,
Can they bring him
no.
down, though? Nope. Papatootie's able to get himself out of there. Meanwhile, the arena will be dropped down. Giant's going to fall. Red 2 is isolated from his teammates to the south. And now Papatootie comes back in, looking for the push with that headband. Not able to snap the coil, but Red 2 still goes down. Pingu falls as well. Tingle King now in some trouble as the pushback is there from the spear, and he's just going to get completely wiped out. Meanwhile, Scourge wasn't able to get himself out either. Point blank Ice Blast connecting. Frugos not even going to die.
I'd probably call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was so unfortunate. He didn't get the BKB off immediately, so Red 2 just tossed his teammate onto Papatootie. Yeah. Devi Lama with the God game. He's European. We'll allot him some space, but yeah. This just felt like D2 Hustlers got to play really at their own pace pretty much the entire time. Devi Lama was able to have a very characteristic game for himself, able to really just sit around, do whatever he wanted. And again, with this Dark Willow doesn't feel the best as an aggressive hero, but paired up with the Mars in the puck, you just were able to make so many more plays that you otherwise wouldn't be able to rely on with those coil snaps. And again, this Tiny, it feels great. It feels like an answer to the puck. But I think if you're going to go up versus D2 Hustlers, you should either ban it out or pick it up for yourselves, because this Tiny continues to fall short in this tournament. Again, I think I said at the beginning of the game, Brow's really the only player who's sort of showed its full strength, been able to get his timings, not really slowed down by anyone. And you look at the D2 Hustlers side, you have this AA, you have this Dark Will, you have these targets that you should be able to play up on and able to get your farm somewhere, but instead, just a few missed team fights, a few missed stuns, and you fall so far behind on this Tiny. I think he got his BKB maybe 30 minutes into that game, and by that point, Yuma is already working on his butterfly, already has his second Aegis, and if you're not able to stay in those team fights, you just can't exist without the BKB, and with that slow as he got it, this Tiny just didn't feel like a hero.
Yeah, and that just, I don't know. Every time we talk about the mid Tiny, we talk about him getting that Blink Dagger first. Like, that's really all he needs, but that's just not true. He needed the Echo Saber afterwards. He needed the BKB after that. So really, you're looking at a mid-hero who needs sort of 2.5 items, I guess. Actually, the Echo Saber, 2,500, but still. 2.5 to 3 items to really sort of make that play happen, and this is the guy who's supposed to be online the earliest among your core heroes. This is the one who's supposed to be that sort of aggressive tempo setting kind of option, and we really did not see that here from Red 2, and once D2 Hustlers sort of realized that the Tiny's not going to be sort of coming right at them, they were able to adjust, avoid some of those fights, build themselves up, and by the time the Cut were finally ready to take the fights, D2 Hustlers had even more teamfight power than their opponents did.
Yeah, and again, they just played versus the Knicks perfectly. If you're always pushing into enemy territory, you always get to start the fight on your own terms. Very rarely did the Cut ever catch D2 Hustlers off guard, and that's something they're going to need to change up if they want to run this Knicks again.
Yeah. Well, for the Cut, we saw some good stuff out of them yesterday, but there were some questions after that series. Question mainly was, can we win when we don't have the Bristle? Here in Game 1, the answer appears to be no, and I don't really believe D2 Hustlers are going to give them that Bristle back again unless somebody just kind of falls asleep at the wheel. So the Cut are going to have to prove it to us, prove that they've got something else up their sleeves to try and get back into this series. Otherwise, their run in this lower bracket could be coming to an end. So we are anxiously awaiting the answers to that question. Can they win without the Bristle? No. Answer's still up in the air. We'll see what the Cut can do. Game 2 should be coming up in just a little bit, though, so stick around, and we will be back after a short break.